So here I am just cruising along, and it dawned on me. I was just wondering, I was like, since the whole Nvidia fiasco's blowing up with these next-gen cards doing path tracing with frame gen and DLSS 4, they'll be running, say, 200 FPS with all that turned on. I mean, that's cool and all. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But it dawned on me, I was like, you know what? I've not really did a video showcasing path tracing or anything at all, really. Because obviously, I'm using AMD, and therefore, my card is not really suited for path tracing. I'll just go ahead and say it. But I can run it with a couple of things, like, say, FSR and doing some frame gen and stuff like that. It's not all that unplayable. Well, it is unplayable. But anyway, I mean, as it is, I'm running a 7900 XTX at 4K right now. And the graphic settings themselves, I'm pretty sure I had everything by default set to Ultra. If we go here and look, let's see. So we are currently running AMD FSR 3 at quality with 85% sharpness and frame gen on. We have ray tracing off, crowd density high, all that bullshit off right there. We've got everything basically set to high besides this, yada yada. We do have screen space reflection set to quality. And I mean, we're doing pretty well. I mean, for the FPS numbers, I can bring those up real quick here. Let's see. Gotta give me a minute. I forget. Okay, there it is. I'm stupid. Okay, so enable metrics overlay. Tracking. Alright, so you should be seeing the metrics now that I turned it all on. And, as I said, we got FSR on, all that stuff. No ray tracing and whatnot. FSR set to quality. We're running at around 129, 130, 140s, all like that. So it depends on where you're at in the game. That's without ray tracing, just max out on 4K. And again, you really shouldn't be complaining about it if it's really something you also use. If you're an Nvidia user saying fake frames, yada yada, AMD's doing the same thing. Well, let's go ahead and dive into the ray tracing aspect of it all here. If you're an AMD user, is ray tracing even worth it, considering the fact you turn on frame gen and FSR, all that shit like that? So, and we're going to turn on ray tracing. Okay, and as you'll notice, ray tracing is now on. Ray trace lighting is off, but ray trace local shadows, sun shadows, ray trace reflections, all on. While we're still sitting at quality FS3 and frame gen. So, see what we got. Alright, as you'll notice, it drops down to the 90s. I mean, that's honestly not bad for 4K Ultra and everything turned on like it is. And for the people who want to talk about latency, it's basically, it's not there. Like, it's as snappy as ever. Like, some people's like, no, you gotta have a latency monitor on, you gotta do it professionally, and like Gamers Nexus or somebody. No. I'm a human being, I'm playing this game, I can tell if something's changed within my input based off of my own hand and everything like that. I like me playing the game, I can tell if something's changed to a point to where it feels like it's either 30 FPS or 60 FPS or higher. And I can assure you nothing's changed. Because like Nvidia, AMD has their own, settings to mitigate the latency if there is anything. If there's any kind of latency issues, you can turn on AMD's own setting itself to fix that, which I do not have enabled right now, but it is a part of HyperX. If you want to use that, you can turn that on, and it'll probably make things amazing for you. But I'm not going to dive into latency, though. This is just the raw performance of the XCX and how it looks. I mean, it's highly playable. Some people say FSR is just a crap show, but you do notice pop-ins as we're driving down the road here. Like there's some, little flickers here in the distance and whatnot, easily seen right here. But to be honest with you, it's not nothing that I would say is awful, honestly. Unless it's really pissing you off for some reason and you're really nitpicky. FSR 4 is going to fix a lot of that. We've seen that in the CES videos, so that's a big plus. But let's go ahead and step it up a little bit here. So let's go ahead and turn on path tracing and hit apply there. Notice that we're still on quality FSR 3, frame generation still on. Watch the FPS, shit the bed. Yeah. Okay. So this is path tracing, and as you can tell, this is actually when FSR 3 actually starts to take, like basically shit the bed. Like, look, as you'll notice when I do this and move around, you'll notice the fast travel point over there. You'll notice it become fuzzy, and what would look like a sort of melting candle effect, like across the screen, if you notice it. Everything starts blurring a little bit. Kind of like when you're using lossless scaling app on Steam, and you max it out a little bit, and it does this weird effect. From my assumptions, it's a safe bet to say FSR 3 it's good, but once FSR 4 drops, I would guarantee that this 30 and 40 FPS and these artifacts and issues would actually pretty much be non-existent. You would probably be seeing at least 60s with path tracing on the next AMD card. And I can still say the latency honestly hasn't changed much at all either. It's still snappy. I mean, you can barely tell a change in it, so that's a plus. But you got to keep in mind I'm also running a 7900X, and it's a pretty beefy system. So, you know, it all depends on whatever you're running, if you're actually going to see a lot of latency issues in the first thing. So, see what we can do if we put FSR quality to balanced and then apply. The image doesn't look as good, but it did put us up into the 50s. You still got the image quality problems. Like if you look here and just focus off in the distance, the garage straight ahead over there, it's kind of choppy. It's a little, the anti-aliasing and stuff's all off. The shadows are off. And to our left on the wall, we have what looks like a ventilation spot, and it's also kind of taking a shit. So. And if you do slight movements like this, you'll notice what I was talking about with the kind of blurring, melting effect on the screen. I prefer it with ray tracing off, to tell you the truth, because I do like it and I don't like it. And I mean, so would it be worth it if I could actually, if I had a card, say 5090, like they're showing off, would I play with path tracing? I honestly don't think I would, because we're gonna lag, but here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to a spot that's more, let me turn this off, by the way. I'm gonna go to a spot that's more, something more static, so I can kind of display what I'm talking about here. Alright, so let's just look here, because there's shadow and a dark corner and everything. I'm gonna turn everything off, the FSR, the frame gen, and we're gonna compare ray tracing just in this specific area, and I'll give my exact opinion as to why I really wouldn't care if I played with path tracing on or off. We're gonna leave frame gen off, and we're gonna leave resolution scaling off, okay? It's gonna lag, it's not gonna look good, and our settings are still with path tracing on and all that. So let's watch it lag to death. Just in this corner. Okay. 20s, we're in the 20s, 17, 14, okay, 11, 13, yeah, okay, cool. So, even though it's lagging, I can go ahead and show this. I can show this much. If I'm looking at the shadow detail with path tracing on, just standing here alone, it's honestly pretty crisp, smooth, and realistic, as to the point how the lighting affects this corner and the time of day and everything. I do like the smoothness, I do like all that, but I mean, let's turn everything off, keep regular ray tracing on, and go ahead and turn on ray trace lighting to psycho. So path tracing is off, and we're standing in this corner now, still looking. We're in the 20s, 19, 16. Okay, so we've stopped at 16 FPS. There's honestly not much of a difference to me looking at path tracing compared to ray tracing with the ray trace lighting all the way on ultra and all that. So path tracing, would it be worth it? Oh, there were grenades, sorry. But anyway, I mean, would it be worth it? I don't know. I don't know. Like I could turn around and look at the city and whatnot, and it's just, it's okay. It's not bad, you know, but it just doesn't really look too much different. Now if we turn ray tracing off, and then we turn around and look at the same corner, and then turn around and look back at the city and whatnot. I mean, honestly, the only thing that changed, the couch is a little bit lighter. It could be the time of day, I'm not sure. The locker doesn't have appropriate shadows. It should be darker. But other than that, there's not much of a difference going on. Like, there's really not. So, you know, and then we turn resolution scaling back on, FSR quality, frame gen on, and then set this back to, let's set it to native AA. Of course, gotta change. I'm not restarting the game to do anything. I don't care. But anyway, since I didn't restart everything, it's back up in the 70s with the frame gen stuff, yada yada. And I mean, I would rather play it native as it is, you know, because sometimes the shadows, they do look better in specific scenarios in the game. Like if I was in a club in the game or something and you could see all the fog, the mist, the smoke from the cigars, all that stuff, it does enhance that. But is it worth it? No. I'd rather just enjoy the game. Like, I mean, I can turn off all that, still hit 140, 130, and without FSR and all that stuff, still obviously, since, you know, I didn't restart the game, still hit 60s, 80s, 90s, stuff like that. It's fine. Bottom line, if you like it, do it. If you don't like it, don't do it.